Whether Rohit Vemula was a Dalit or not doesn't worry me. It worries me that there is a section of students who unfortunately do not have that sensitivity being extended to them by university administrations. And that's a critical issue, that's a serious issue which has to be addressed. The Prime Minister is absolutely right. The Finance Minister calling certain people who are attacking India as Hamlawar is also consistent. My fear the last major issue which cropped up from JNU was knowingly or unknowingly that platform of JNU's right for freedom of expression was probably misused by anti-India forces. And because of that, JNU was in the news for wrong reasons. After the Small Traders Association did come and meet, the Association of Indian Traders, as they call, I think KATE, met us, and a few other groups also met us. I directed for a meet with the Enforcement Directorate.
Ma'am, let me ask you a political question. Are you concerned with the volatile political scene, specifically or this Dalit politics, which is happening across the country? One, and in relation to that, this today's papers have reported about HRD Ministry's panel, finding that Rohit Vemula is not a Dalit. So, what is your take on this? Do you think this will politically, how will it play politically for BJP? Does it help BJP to, drive home the point you have been talking, or do you think it is a kind of, you are recalling the issue here, and the BJP was at the center stage and everybody was attacking BJP. So, will it damage BJP? What is your take on that?
The BJP among Dalits is well received. Among tribals is well received. Otherwise, if you look at the last Lok Sabha elections, we wouldn't have made the numbers in the reserved constituencies as we've made it. Subsequently, in the various state elections, giving margin to the states where we don't have a presence, you still have had ample support from the Dalit and the tribal sections for BJP. And the representatives in the Union Council of Ministers from the Dalit and tribal sections are there for everyone to see. Now, this whole campaign about Dalit related issues and pitting it as though it is a BJP versus Dalit is completely unfortunate. I think it's completely contrived. It's not something which has happened in one state or two states, and wherever it happens, it seems to be thrown at the BJP's doors. And that is where I think it is contrived. The articulation of the problem also seems to be the same, irrespective of the situation from which it is emerging. And therefore, I don't think the BJP is going to be hurt, but very clearly the attempt to bring this Dalit argument or Dalit card against the BJP can be seen as a part of defaming the BJP. Well, it's a committee which was appointed. I do not know exactly what the terms of references were on it. Was it just to determine the caste of this individual? You can always elaborate that it looked into various other things also. The irony of this whole thing is the suicide unfortunately happened. University administrations will have to be very sensitive. Larger issues of how students coming from deprived communities, be they SC, be they OBC, be they anybody, will have to be addressed, because that's going to be a persistent problem when there are clashes of academic and societal differences which come to a fore in the university, because that's a place meeting ground. That's got to be addressed as it is. Whether Rohit Vemula was a Dalit or not doesn't worry me. It worries me that there is a section of students who unfortunately do not have that sensitivity being extended to them by university administrations. And that's a critical issue, that's a serious issue which has to be addressed.
I'm on this Kashmir. Now you think that government has been frequently changing the goalposts. One day the Prime Minister talks about reopening Balochistan. The next day the Finance Minister says that stone pelters are students of Pakistan attacking India. The third day the Prime Minister says that those being killed in the streets are very own people, Indians. So don't you think that the government's reaction on the Kashmir unrest range from pain to anger, from aggression to molestation? So is there a clarity?
There's absolute clarity. To speak about Balochistan or speak about Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is India, there's just no confusion. That's one. The second, the finance minister has explained what his speech is, and his speech is fully available in the YouTube. And subsequently, a correction has also been issued, saying what some media houses have said is actually not what the FM has said in the speech. And to say that people who are, he used the expression, if I remember correct, hamlavar, those who are protesting. And for the Prime Minister to have said, those who are injured are also our people, those who have died are also our people. Absolutely no contradiction. But if there are people who are protesting against the Indian Union because they are being egged to do so by separatists who are funded or who are directly or indirectly supported by Pakistan, there's no contradiction. That doesn't mean everybody is doing it. That doesn't mean that people who have died are not Indians. The Prime Minister is absolutely right. The Finance Minister calling certain people who are attacking India as hamlavar is also consistent. There is absolutely no cross-messaging in this. The larger message is the larger Kashmir and the occupied parts of Kashmir are also Indian. To say that for the first time in such assertive tone is only right. We've been absolutely sensitive to the problem and we'll continue to be that. But that doesn't mean that we cannot narrate or repeat India's sovereign territory being held by somebody else. That's after all been also voiced in a unanimous resolution which was passed by the Parliament. 94 was it? So there's no contradiction.
Nirmala ji, in the last year, the majority of the students of JNU and the authorities have been adversaries frequently. And there have been complaints from the BJP leaders generally that there's something wrong with the ethos and culture of JNU. And you're a product of JNU. Do you think that is true, or has something changed in JNU, or what?
I hope nothing has changed in the JNU.
So you're proud of the way JNU functions?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But the concern that I have in my mind, and when I say I hope nothing has changed, is only when the kind of information that I have received, and I've said this openly even before, the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression which we repeatedly hold dear, and of course all universities in India hold it dear and only rightly, and which has guided the spirit of JNU, cannot be allowed to be misused by anybody. And my fear the last major issue which cropped up from JNU was knowingly or unknowingly that platform of JNU's right for freedom of expression was probably misused by anti-India forces. And because of that, JNU was in the news for wrong reasons. And I felt very sad for it.
This e-commerce thing that you earlier in the day you also discussed. There are concerns expressed by say associations like CDIT that these e-commerce players may not. I mean, they may be claiming that they are not giving discounts themselves, but they are asking vendors to give discounts and they are reimbursing vendors for those discounts. So, is this a violation of the FDA policy? And if it is, then how are you going to address this?
See, after the Small Traders Association did come and meet, the Confederation of Association of Indian Traders, as they call, I think KATE, met us, and a few other groups also met us. I directed for a meet with the Enforcement Directorate, with the Niti Aayog, Consumer Affairs, and our own Department of Industrial Policy. We went through this whole thing in detail. If the marketplace providing e-commerce firms are providing these huge discounts and therefore violating any existing policy, or are the vendors providing, meaning the manufacturers themselves providing it. So we had a discussion on it, and the very next day I asked the Secretary DIPP to call in these e-commerce firms and take their view on it. We've spoken to them. They have said that the discounts being offered are not theirs. They have said very clearly that the discounts being offered are of the manufacturer of the products, and they are of varying different levels of discounts. We've heard them. But of course, the Secretary Consumer Affairs, who actually has to redress these grievances, and not so much us, because we do frame the policy, we have made sure that any violation of policy is taken note of and due action be taken. But then we'll have to establish this. The angle that you have mentioned is something which has to be established before we take any call on it.